We're going live here. I attempted to do this a little bit earlier, but then deleted it because I have a special guest with me. As you can see on my screen, I've got her information pulled up. It's Mallory Staples with the Georgia Freedom Caucus. So a lot of you know who she is, and there's been a huge, huge buzz this morning. It's actually been going on for a while, but today it's getting down to the finish line here. So she has been gracious enough to join us via the phone. So we're going to get kind of started right into it. So Mallory, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thanks for having me on. We love the grassroots at the Freedom Caucus, so appreciate it.
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
It's
ma'am.
all about
So
the power of the people.
absolutely, and we know that you're doing a lot of great work, a whole lot of great work out there in Georgia with the Freedom Caucus and everything. We're big supporters of it up here in the North Georgia. So let's go ahead and set it up. So I'm going to get you to give us a recap. I know you've been out there, you've been talking with a lot of people, you've been really, really pushing the information out there. So let's have our audience listen in on your version, your take on this Bill 986.
Yep, absolutely. Um, so we've been fighting this bill. We've been aware of it the entire session, and we got a record 22 no votes in the House, which was impressive considering the House is super, super liberal. And, most of our Republicans don't vote like Republicans, they vote like Democrats. So
Right.
we were impressed. And it just speaks to the um, bad nature, First Amendment threatening, super suspicious nature of this bill
Right.
that we could get that many no votes.
Mm-hmm.
Because often Charlie Spurd, our chairman, is the only no vote in the House. So
Right.
anyway, we were thinking that this bill, we'd been told from people in leadership and other senators that the bill was not going to go anywhere. And then it was just assigned a hearing in the Judiciary Committee yesterday out of
Mm-hmm.
nowhere.
Right.
So they took a vote, and it passed, which is remarkable. We had a singular no vote, which was Senator Steve Gooch. If you
Mm-hmm.
know him, applaud him for that.
Okay.
And we appreciate his no vote. And then we had the rest of the Republican senators voted yes for this piece of legislation, which was Brian Strickland. He's the chairman.
Mm-hmm.
Bill Cowser, Mike Hodges, Bo Hatchett, John Kennedy, Ed Setzler, and Ben Watson all voted yes, which is just jaw dropping.
Gotcha.
So what happens with that is then it is moved over to the Rules Committee because it had a favorable vote in committee, the committee that it was assigned yesterday. It moves to the Rules Committee. And then if it passes out of rules, it will go, if Lieutenant Governor Burt Jones allows it to, it will go to the floor for a vote.
Okay.
So we have two lines of defense here. One is the chairman of the Rules Committee is Matt Brass. And Matt can take some good votes. He can. I'm hoping that he is going to use wisdom here and not bring this bill for a vote and a hearing rather, and then a vote in rules, but we don't know. So our first request is for people to please call Matt Brass and ask him not to do that. We'd ask him to let this bill stay in rules and not go anywhere. His number is 404-463-1376. If you get a female voicemail, that is his assistant. Our other line of defense is obviously our America First MAGA elected Lieutenant Governor Burt Jones.
Mm-hmm.
And we would ask people to also call him and ask him to be sure this bill is not brought to the floor for a vote. And his number is 404-656-5030, 5030.
Gotcha.
So we need people to call today and tomorrow. It is not on the rules calendar for Wednesday, but it could go on Thursday. There's only 4 days left in session. It's
Right.
this Wednesday and Thursday and next Tuesday and Thursday. So it could go on this Thursday, next Tuesday, or the final day of session, day 40, which is sine die. So we are well aware of the fact that at the end of session and at the midpoint-ish of crossover day, we see an unusually large amount of bills pushed through, and bills can be amended on the Senate floor. So a lot of times we see things shoved in and pushed into other bills that have nothing to do with,
Sure.
the existing bill in its form. So we will be watching that very closely. But, the power of the Freedom Caucus is the grassroots. And so we need everyone listening to call 10 people and tell them to make the 3 phone calls. Like, we really need a multiplied effort here. This bill is probably the scariest bill we've seen, which is saying a lot considering we've had a real fight with some mental health issue bills
Yes. HB
that were also
520.
carried by the 520 and 1013, which were all also carried by Todd Jones. I mean, I think he is singularly responsible for carrying the most freedom crushing legislation in the state of Georgia. So that is a nice side note for everybody who votes in his district. But this bill would make it a felony with 2 to 5 years in prison for someone to publish, broadcast, stream, upload a video recording, a video file, an audio recording, an audio file, or still image within 19 days of an election that is perceived to be deceptive by its means. And if you are charged with this and you go through the Board of Elections and they claim that and decide that you were intentionally deceiving in an effort to interfere in an election, you can serve 2 to 5 years in prison. And one thing that's really important for everybody to know is that we have defamation laws that apply to any platform. So currently, if somebody puts something up about you that is misinformed or, in the intent or the outcome is to defame your character, and this, you can sue them. You can get a lot of money if you win. So this code exists. What this bill would do is it adds a criminal component to it. And it takes it up to a felony charge, which is just absolutely, totally and completely unmerited.
Right.
And I will say that one of the things we're hearing, which is an absolute joke and a lie, is that they need this bill to fight Fani Willis. So I'd like to hearken everybody back to last August, when Senator Colton Moore called for the Senate to exercise their constitutional rights and investigate and defund Fani Willis, and none of these senators were interested in doing that at that time. So they're not really concerned about Fani Willis, or they would have done something about her a long time ago. And laws like this actually make it easier for these rogue, prosecutors to do what they do. They can bring felony charges against a whole new, demographic
to the
that
people
they didn't have access to before. That's right.
I mean,
and Fani, she's proven that if you give the government the ability, they will abuse its power.
Well, I mean, technically they already have. When we're sitting here talking, I'm thinking about, well, if they care about election so much, election integrity, number one, why aren't they listening to their grassroots and the people of their state talk about Dominion and all of the analytic facts that have came out? They don't give they don't care anything about listening to the people about election integrity, yet they're very concerned about election ads 90 days prior to the election. And I seem to remember that we went through years of Russian collusion by our own government and our government institutions. So, I mean, who are they targeting here? It sounds like that I could go to prison, for being a social media creator. It's insane.
Yeah, it is an absolute lie that their intentions are at all altruistic when it comes to the citizens. This is what one fellow who interviewed me named it the Incumbent Protection Act. But they do not care. They have allowed social media platforms, they have allowed the mainstream media to put lies forward to totally defame people's character. And they've sat by and done nothing. They've allowed Fani Willis to do it. They do not care. Absolutely. This is about silencing people that oppose them. I know somebody was telling me this morning that in Virginia, they almost got this bill passed, and it really had some steam, remarkably, that you couldn't criticize opponent.
Wow.
Period. You can't say anything negative. You can't say anything that is not complimentary. I mean, what in the world? We have something here called freedom of speech, like the old, you can yell anything but fire in a movie theater. Exactly. You can say anything but that, and you are protected. So I'm hard pressed when we can't even, this same group of representatives will not pass legislation to get porn out of our children's libraries, but they're concerned about an AI bill. Give me a break. Like,
I agree.
absolutely give me a break. I'm going to call liar, liar,
Absolutely.
liar.
Now, one thing I wanted
So
to
yeah.
say, I wanted to ask you. So, a lot of these bills that come up like this seem to come from like a series of bills where it's like somebody writes this legislation somewhere and then they share it so it can kind of hit multiple states at once. And you mentioned that they passed something or trying to pass something similar to Virginia. So, it seems like this is a push from somewhere else that's coming into these states with this kind of crazy legislation. Do you agree with that?
Yeah. I mean, I thought about that when I was watching Tucker Carlson interview. I think it was Mike Benz. I knew his
Hmm.
last name was Benz, about the censorship, the three-letter agency on a
Yes,
federal
that
level
was a
effort to censor.
yes,
He also interviewed Doug Mackey, who spent 7 months in jail for a meme he put up about Hillary Clinton,
yes,
which was hysterical. But they said he was interfering with an election. He didn't even create the meme. He just retweeted it. And
exactly.
so Tucker's was saying, or Mike Benz was telling him, that this is an effort across the states. And that uh, journalist who or media person who interviewed me, talking about the Virginia law, that really is, it sounds like, I'm sure.
It kind of sounds
um,
like a push. We deal with this. I'm a bail bondsman anyway, so we deal with legislation like this where something happens over on the western states of America, and then all of a sudden they try to push these lawsuits into every single state, trying to systematically destroy a certain institution or something. And this is kind of what it sounds like to me. So.
yeah. Yep.
Well, this is crazy. Now, I'm not going to play this stuff, and I know we're kind of pressed for time, but you shared a couple things with me that I'm going to post the links up. But there was this one in particular from where Brad Thomas says that HB 986 could have First Amendment impact. I thought that was a very interesting video there, kind of kowtowing around everything here. So this is just
Hmm.
crazy across the board. I cannot believe that we obviously are living in clown world where our state legislature is trying to, you know, pass this kind of legislation and ignore so many things that are going on that are pivotal to the voters and the Georgia citizens, and then it turns around they're going to punish us when the legacy media can take a term such as bloodbath and use it completely out of context, and they can get away with it every day. Yet, if I post a meme or something, I could potentially go to prison. This is insane to me. So,
It
what?
is insane. And I'd like to point out that, in light of all the other issues that we are facing as Georgians, I mean, people are struggling to feed their children, to buy groceries, to put gas in the tank, to save money for retirement, you know, increased regulation in every sector. We have estimated a million illegals here in the state of Georgia, drawing down on the taxpayers. Crime is spiking because of the violent illegals that are here, that are literally coming through the airport. The government knows they're coming, they're not doing anything. We have violent crime because of this. We have, to your point, election integrity issues. We have political persecution at the hands of these DAs, and just no justice and integrity issues. And we have political persecution is what these
Sorry, I'm
senators
so
and
sorry about
reps
that.
are concerned about. It's unreal.
Yes, I agree. I agree. So yeah, I'm appalled. I'm going to be posting the numbers. I'm going to be calling myself. How many? When is this session over again? 3 days.
So we're there tomorrow and Thursday, and then next Tuesday and next Thursday. But it is not on the calendar for tomorrow
Okay.
in rules. So it could pop up Thursday of this week, Tuesday or Thursday of next week. So we need to keep the pressure on, and really communicate well with Bert and Jones and Matt Brass, that we don't want any of this. We don't
No,
want any of this.
no, this is crazy. It seems like they're focused on completely everything else except for what we should be focusing on, and then it's
Yep.
rolling right down like an avalanche onto the people. So,
Yep.
well, Mallory, I'm not
It's
going to
true.
keep you any longer. I appreciate you for this broadcast. I look very forward to meeting you in person soon, and maybe we can sit down and do a live together on another date. But thank you so much for spending your time with me, so we can get people caught up on this.
Sure. We love the grassroots, and thank you guys for your hard work. We are shoulder to shoulder with you. So thanks, Roy.
Yes, ma'am. I'll be posting all your links. Thank you.
Bye bye.
All right, folks, I'm not going to stay on much longer. You heard from Mallory Staples. This was an emergency broadcast, and just bear with me for a second because I didn't want to keep
Just
her
some
on
tiny
because
tech.
she is very, very busy today, and she took the time out of her schedule to come on with me. And of course, I'm every time I try to get this out or I try to go live, I have to do 50 functions to get it out where people can see it. And but I do want to share a couple more things while we're here. And I will not be doing a live on Wednesday evening this week. So I just got everything set, but I want to play a couple videos while we're here real quick because this is important. This is one that she sent me, and it says Brad Thomas says HB 986 could have First Amendment impact. It's a couple minutes long. I'm going to go ahead and play it. Here it goes.
Platform to me, I think like, I'm going to just name one like Hulu, for example. And sometimes Hulu has commercials. And sometimes, if someone was to broadcast something on that streaming platform that they weren't aware of, for whatever reason, then, the question is, should they be held liable? And I think this is one of those things that we can continue this debate. But I would say that to take that out would be, I think it would be detrimental to the fact that now all of a sudden you have these stream platforms, maybe something did get put up on it, and now they got a 50,000. Well, actually, I'm sorry. Let me take it back a little bit. It would be a person with the definition that we have right here. It would be. I'll just be honest with you. I think you probably made a decent point on that one. If you want to strike it out, go ahead.
I want to be, and I don't want to create chaos. I just want to. There are people who it is their hobby to do these kinds of things. They've become quite sophisticated. I just want to make sure we're thinking our way through this. It shouldn't just be tied to political organization. I think because those organizations have natural limitations on their ability to do harm, they have to do disclosures. They're subject to all kinds of existing laws. It's probably the sort of dark figure that's sort of doing this themselves, tunneling through some server in Singapore so they can drop something back on the. I mean, those folks are sophisticated. To me, could create the most harm. And I just wanted you to rethink before we.
And it's just to be. I think we really do have to keep this bill really tightly written right now. And let me explain why. Because I don't doubt that there is potential First Amendment impacts if we make any changes. Right now, political organizations, that we can tightly prescribe. But once you start bringing in private entities and companies, then the question becomes what were those protections for those? And now have we just created a First Amendment issue in a bill that currently I don't believe has any First Amendment issues? So what I would say is
Okay, so that's one that you need to take away from there. Let's see. Let me go back here real quick. So I'm just trying to paint the picture for you. This is the kind of stuff that's being discussed about this bill, HB 986. Another thing that I saw while doing some research that I'll pull up here is I found this interesting, as you heard from Mallory, as she was talking about how it just kind of came back up out of nowhere. So you go to Legiscan and you pull it up. It shows the history. The last thing that was done with this was 2/26/24, and we're already on the 18th. So, they're kind of making this push, just a couple of days out before the session ends. So I thought that was very interesting that it's almost kind of trying to be flying under the radar, if you will, because this is a pretty draconian bill that I can tell. I don't agree with it. We do need to be letting our legislators know that this will not stand. They're talking about the closer you get to elections, and they're saying that the people are the ones that are meddling in elections. Like we talked about before. And then never mind Russia collusion and how fake it was. Never mind the fact that the legacy media can take a word like bloodbath and take it completely out of context here. They can get away with all this, but you the person, you share a meme somewhere, you share something that you think is funny, or you create something, God forbid, that could be misconstrued or hurtful to an incumbent or a political. They're charging you for election meddling, and they want to put you in prison. And another thing that I wanted to put up here was the Hank Sullivan Substack. So if you're under a rock, if you haven't subscribed to Hank Sullivan yet, like it or not, the man He is involved in everything we're going on the grassroots. But I wanted to share this with you real quick because this is fairly interesting. Corrected link to previous Substack. So if you go to Substack, you can subscribe to him. But this is the public debate between bill sponsor Representative Brad Thomas and Hank Sullivan. So if you go on down right here, read full story, you can actually see the transcript of the conversation that he had with Brad Thomas. And I don't have enough time to share it here, but it's very, very interesting. I will post the link to this here as well. And then there's a whole bunch of numbers that you can call and you can make your voice heard, right? That's what this is all about. If you're grassroots, you're involved in this stuff, you need to let people know. They don't need to be just willy-nilly doing this. I remember being out of the Capitol and meeting Mr. Brad Thomas and him talking about, oh, the AI. Well, the AI that I'm concerned with is far, far greater than the AI that they're trying to push with this bill. This is kind of crazy. So, and I honestly, I thought this bill had been tabled until this morning when I started getting all these phone numbers because they're 10 steps ahead. They're all the time trying to push things, and especially now that we're watching, they're pushing them right under the table, where it's so hard to keep up with. So I thought I would post this link here. This is the State Freedom Caucus Network. If you're not following Mallory Staples, you need to, and you need to look into the State Freedom Caucus Network. It's just another grassroots organization that are watchdogs watching this state, fighting all of these draconian laws and these things. And you heard it from her. They're focused on all of these things that have nothing to do with the reality of our lives right now. And they're wanting it to make it even harder. And if you think this isn't a push for some sort of disinformation scheme, like our government's trying to shut down the TikTok and trying to censor everything, and using our social media platforms against us so that we have to watch what we say. We can't speak the truth, but we might be able to tell a little bit more truth over there. It's like walking a tightrope just to be on here and then try to share information. So please, please, please check out the links that we've got here that I'm going to post immediately after I get off here. And, pick up the phone, make a phone call, start calling these people, let them know what you think. If you go to... let's see, Mallory Staples Substack, I believe this is the one. Let's see. Let me just open this up real quick because, all right. So she's got, this is her Substack, Mallory Staples, which I'm subscribed to this as well, Under the Dome newsletter. So here it is. Senators have voted yes on HB 976. So, remember, this has already been through the House. It's already into the Senate. Here are the phone numbers of the people. She even puts talking points in here. This is just something that doesn't even need to be brought up at this moment. I mean, this is crazy, So I urge each one of you guys to become the activists that you need to be to stop this authoritarianism in the state, man. This is some wild stuff, and it's getting down to crunch time. And guess what? They're trying to shove it in there at the very last minute, and they don't want you to know about it. They don't want you to see it. They don't want you to care about it. They want it off your radar, and they're trying to shove this thing through so they can quietly be passed. The next thing you know, yours truly is going to prison. So let's stop this. Let's keep the power to the people. Let's let them know that they cannot encroach on our Constitution, on our First Amendment rights. Get involved. I am getting off here now, posting all the links. Share this with everybody. Continue to support Mallory Staples, Hank Sullivan, all the grassroots people that are out there that are bringing this stuff to you, because it's that important, folks. Let your voice be heard. Call these people in